Welcome into the Take the North podcast along with Dan Wiederer of The Athletic. I am Mark Grote of 670 The Score. We get to talk about another Bears win, a 24-15 win in Philadelphia. Complete domination for the Bears. Dan and I both had unique perspectives of this game. As you can see, if you are watching on video right now, Dan is at the link right now. He's been there all day. He's been there for the last couple of days. So he is in Philly. I was back here in Chicago doing our Score pregame show from a packed theater, a Marcus Theater, actually in Gurnee, Illinois. Did the pregame and the postgame. It was quite an experience watching the game with all of those people. But Dan, so good to see you. That, my friend, is a signature win for the Bears to this point.
Yeah, just for the sake of accuracy, I arrived here in Philadelphia this morning, on Friday morning at, I think it was probably 9:30 local time, and then over here to this game, which, as you mentioned, was a signature victory for the Bears. Patrick Finley, who's been on the beat the same amount of time as I have, was proclaiming this a top 5 Bears victory in our time on the beat since 2013. It's certainly the biggest victory the Bears have had since Take the North became a podcast. And Grote, what was probably most impressive about this today is the Bears did it their way. They did it with a bruising ground game, 281 rushing yards on the day. They did it with a defense that created 2 huge second half takeaways. We talked all week about how good the Philadelphia Eagles and quarterback Jalen Hurts were at protecting the football. He gave the Bears 2 takeaways today, and they turned those in to the momentum they needed to win this football game. As I mentioned, the ground game behind DeAndre Swift and Kyle Monungai set the tone behind that offensive line, and you walk out of here feeling like the Bears are as hot and as dangerous as any team in football right now. And so if you want to question that, if you want to try to delegitimize that, do so at your own risk, because this team is very much for real, and they have many of the components that it takes to put together a run here late in the season.
I'm not doing it anymore. I have been
shouldn't.
one of those who has been skeptical, and I have been careful all along, including my preseason pick. I didn't even pick the Bears to win this game. I picked the Eagles to win by 3. I got popcorn dumped over my head after the game by the crowd in Gurnee, which I told them they could do if my pick was wrong. So I gladly took that popcorn. But that there is like I said, the Bears go on the road in terrible conditions and then just straight up dominate the Eagles. So the Bears are good. There's no more doubting it. They are in first place. It sets up a showdown with second place Green Bay at Lambeau next week, which is going to be fantastic. But Dan, I have not seen that kind of domination by a team in the first half of a game since last year at about this time when the Bears played that Detroit game where they just got walloped in the first half. I'm just staring down these numbers in the first half of this game because it was beautiful, and I was nervous because the halftime score was only 10-3. The reason I was nervous, Dan, is because of these numbers. The total yards, Bears 222-83. Rushing yards, Bears 142-26. First downs, 16-2. Third downs, the Bears were 7 for 10. Time of possession, 21 minutes to 9 minutes. I can go on. DeAndre Swift had 88 yards by the half. Monungai had 41 by the half. So I couldn't help but think back to that. It is like just another check of the box on things that are going the Bears' way as opposed to last year.
And the play count was what, 41-17? They had something of that nature in the first half. The Bears ran 41 plays, and the Eagles to 17. So you have a team that clearly put its claws into this football game, and then they didn't let it go. And again, you watch the day that DeAndre Swift had, and then you look at the end, and you're like, he was the second best rusher on the Bears today. On a field that featured Saquon Barkley, it was DeAndre Swift and Kyle Monungai joining Walter Payton and Matt Suhey as the first running backs to each have 100 rushing yards in the same football game since 1985. Incredible feat for that team. Incredible to hear Ben Johnson in the post-game locker room say, I kind of wish I had called more runs. It's a genuine confession from a head coach who we've said is dedicated to making a bruising ground game the central component of his offense, and you see the dividends that pays. I talked to Darnell Wright for a few minutes in the locker room, and he says, look, like, we've come to the understanding that it's not going to be a 50-yard gain every time, but we keep popping them. You wear away at them, and you just set a tone that's hard to beat. I think probably the biggest sequence in this game is immediately following the Nahshon Wright strip on the tush push. late in the third quarter, the Bears get their longest offensive play of the day, a 31-yard run from Kyle Monangai, which was an incredible shift in momentum given where Philadelphia had come from and what they were threatening to do to take the lead there, which would have been a demoralizing blow to the Bears. You get this huge takeaway, and then you respond immediately with a huge hole and a rookie running back running his ass off to get you 31. And all of a sudden, you felt like you were in good shape down the stretch of this football game. Man, Grote, I just can't say enough about what this team is doing to create an identity.
And after that, the long drive and the touchdown by Monangai and that whole sequence, which you are right. I mean, that's the ball game right there. That whole wild turn of events that all occurred after what was a pretty marvelous A.J. Brown touchdown. Caleb gets picked too. We didn't even mention that, the Jalix Hunt pick. But you're right, that whole sequence. And then after that, after the 31-yard run by Monangai, the touchdown by Monangai, and then the defense right after that, man. 3 and out. That's what I'm talking about, because they did eventually make it feel a little bit closer, but the two sides of the ball working in unison. And I want to give a shout out too when we are praising, and I know that you're talking about Darnell Wright in the offensive line, but my God, I mean, the holes that like DeAndre Swift and Kyle Monangai were working, they were decisive, they were powerful, they weren't giving up. Pretty amazing on some of the runs. They were popping explosives. But the Bears today had, how about it, man? And you could kind of describe how this went down during the pregame with Ozzie Trapillo ending up getting the start at the left tackle position. Of course, Darnell Wright on the right side, and then the usual guys on the inside. But that's a shocker, and in a good way, because it looked like he comported himself well again at the position.
Yeah, you didn't notice him, and that's the best compliment you can pay. Obviously, we'll go back and rewatch the video and see what's on there in terms of his second start and playing, winning football really on that left side of the offensive line. It's a big development for the Bears. It's another testament to their ability to develop players. But what you have in this football team right now is just a group that's incredibly confident. Grote, they just finished off a undefeated November. They just went 5 games in November and won them all. And Amazing. It puts them in position to, be 9-3 ahead of the Eagles in the NFC standings, nipping at the heels of the LA Rams for the top seed in the conference, obviously with a grip on first place in the NFC North, waiting to go up to Green Bay next week for an absolutely spectacular showdown with the Packers. There's fun things happening with this football team. And one of the most fun things, Grote, is the head coach wasn't afraid to take his shirt off in the post-game locker room.
It happened. It happened. I would like to take a tiny bit of credit. I was part of the breadcrumbs, the food chain that sort of led up to this, because when they first tweeted that, when Wiener Circle first tweeted it out, that they would give free hot dogs to everybody if Ben Johnson took his shirt off. Do you remember when I read that?
Oh, yeah.
Caleb Williams. I read that tweet, and he was kind of uncomfortable with it. He was kind of squirming a little like, not really sure if we're going to talk him into doing that. And then the next day, one of you guys, it may have been you or Finley maybe, that then asked Ben Johnson if he would do it. And he did leave the door open, and I'll be damned if he didn't. For people who don't know what we're talking about, during the good, better, best speech, or before that, Ben Johnson, your Bears head coach, took his shirt off in that Bears locker room before they celebrated.
Well, and what we said at the time when that sort of promise was made by the Wiener Circle was this would only be relevant if the Bears could do it after a signature win. We were saying if they clinched a playoff berth, if they won the division, if they got themselves to a part where you could really stamp relevance and legitimacy on their success. Well, this is it today. You come in to the home of the defending Super Bowl champions on a short week and you win a football game in this fashion. Go ahead and rip that shirt off. Have fun with it. The thing that I love about Ben Johnson is he's passionate. He's spontaneous. His players feed off the energy he brings to the table. Jaquan Brisker, who's been through some things here since he was drafted by the Bears a few years ago, said he changed the energy on day one, and we just continue to buy into everything he says because everything he says is truthful. It's genuine, it's real, and you see the response of that locker room to what Ben has infused into it, and you can't help but think they're going places. I don't know where this season's going to end, Grote, but I do know that we're going to get to the end of this saying that the Bears have established clear-cut, undeniable direction toward climbing the mountain to where they want to go. It's a credit to who Ben Johnson is. I'm glad to see him celebrate that win in the locker room with his guys. look, like there's no shortage of contributors today. And I'll go back to what I said at the start, that when you win a game on your terms with a bruising running game and a defense that makes opportunistic plays, you have to feel very confident about what you can do down the stretch of this season.
Yeah, 100% right. That one shows you what the Bears are capable of, and that's going to wake everybody up. I mean, and I feel like this is one of those rare times where national and local media, as it pertains to the Bears, have been kind of on the same page. Like, they're not quite buying the Bears. Like, usually the national audience, they would have jumped on the Bears and been like, "Oh, 8-3, the Bears are on their way." But I think everybody was a little bit more careful. Obviously, this was a standalone game. It's a national game. Everybody is watching. A packed house is everywhere. So this is going to change it. Things this season will not be the same again for the Bears. In other words, expectations for me just went up. This is no longer gravy. This is no longer we're just happy to be here. Right. This is the Bears are in a position where they're probably between 70 and 80% chance of clinching of being a playoff team. If you look at those playoff odds, I'm sure that it's been refreshed and updated by now. But now it's about winning now, man. There's no more just happy to be here.
One of the things I wrote in my column at The Athletic was that the Bears are in position now to have a totally different conversation. You remember the downpour of criticism they took when we left Detroit in September. They were 0-2, and it was like, man, this team is a disaster right now after 2 games of the season. Well, that conversation is going to be triply as loud on the opposite side of the spectrum here, as people in the outside world now start legitimately debating the Bears' Super Bowl chances. That is a conversation that has entered the chat, and now you're going to have those conversations. To the Bears' credit, I personally believe one of the best things they have going for them right now is presence, the ability to stay locked in on each day, on each practice, on each game, on each opponent, on each play within a drive. And that presence has helped them get to 9-3. They're going to have to reset. Ben Johnson continues to credit the leaders, guys like Grady Jarrett, Kevin Byard, Joe Thuney, guys who know what high-level winning football looks like, and set a standard for this team every week that other guys are able to follow. They're going to have to do that again, because now they're going to start getting this avalanche of praise for what they've accomplished here on this field behind me today and what they've done in winning 9 of their last 10. And that noise is going to get loud, and now you're going to have to deal with success. And I think this team is very capable of doing so because of the presence I just mentioned.
It's on. And the Bears were making plays. I'm glad you mentioned Kevin Byard, because there was a lot of defensive players who did, Kevin Byard gets that big pick in the 3rd. Deshaun Wright, as you said, just continues the strip on the tush push, which it's just, there's just something about that guy, Deshaun Wright. Is he now, I assume, I haven't seen all the numbers from the rest of the day, but I guess it's
his 8th takeaway.
Yeah, that's his 8th takeaway. There it is. Yep, 8th takeaway. And Byard's 6th pick,
6th interception, NFL best, right?
That's pretty amazing. Love seeing Austin Booker make a play today. Big hard hit, big tackle for loss. Grady Jarrett showed off a little bit on this day, and Joe Tryon-Shoyinka as well. Like his name was called. So Bears defense making plays today.
Footnote: Jalen Johnson and Kyler Gordon played. The Bears are getting closer to whole, right? And now that you have a defense where you can mix and match defensive backs, those guys were both on pitch counts today, but they're back in the mix, right? And so now you can start to dream bigger dreams. And I asked Jalen in the locker room today, I said, what were you missing? You're not able to participate, and this team's on the roll that they've been on. And he said, what am I missing? I'm missing in action. And now he's back in action, right? Like Jalen's back in action, and we're going to get to talk to him this week, right? Because he's now a key contributor to a team that is headed for the playoffs, barring an oil spill that makes them skid off the road. They're right there. I told you before we started recording that we weren't going to do 3-word reviews today because we're a little bit crunched on time, so I can get out of this press box before they lock me out. But I'm going to give you 2 because my brother Ed and my mother watched this game together in Boston after celebrating Thanksgiving together. And my brother offered up Culture Club Unlocked. You know the significance of that.
Baby.
To this podcast.
This is it.
And my mother, being a loyal podcast listener as well, offered Dan Was Wrong, because for the 3rd consecutive week I picked the Bears to lose, and they proved me wrong. And Deshaun Wright said something in the locker room. He said, I was looking around and it seemed like everybody picked the Eagles, and I said guilty. And so the Bears knew what this win represented. It was an attention-grabbing win for the rest of the league to understand that they are to be taken seriously, and they are every bit as good. Look, like Grote, I'll say this. The Bears are not just one of the better running teams in football. Today, they vaulted to become the number 1 rushing team in the NFL.
They have been number 2, Bills. I think, right?
Yeah. Now they're past the Bills. With 281 yards, you leap the Bills, and you say we're number 1. The Bears aren't just one of the better teams in the league at taking the football away. They're the best. 26 takeaways, 6 clear of the Rams and Steelers, right? So you're doing things better than anyone else in the NFL in key areas of football, and you say, heck yeah, you can go win a division now. You can go think about making noise in the month of January, which the only noise the Bears usually make in the month of January is going on coaching searches, right? So now they're going to make a different kind of noise when they get there. And it's just going to be fun to chronicle because you got a team that really believes that it can go further than it has already.
And the Bears did a good job of stopping the run today as well. And I know Saquon Barkley has been held in check a lot recently, but that is something still for the Bears. Barkley on the day, 13 carries, 56 yards. He averaged 4.3 per carry. Oh, look at that. Looks like Mark Grote won our best bet, our FanDuel bet. Goes to me, Mark Grote, because I had Saquon for the under at 76.5. You and Studs both said the over. What do you have to say for yourself, Dan?
I was wrong again. Everybody wants to call out how wrong I was tonight, and you're adding to the list. So yeah, you're right. I mean, the Bears did a great job of taking away Barkley in this football game, of again playing with the sort of discipline and purpose that's needed in that regard. It was fascinating to be here in the building where you had an 8-3 first place football team that won a Super Bowl 10 months ago, and how edgy and anxious this crowd was from the very start of the day. You could tell that the loss to Dallas last week left them a little bit jittery and scarred, and the Bears, as Kevin Byard promised, were going to test that early. And once they got the Eagles, they have a couple 3-and-outs there in the first half. You just felt this edginess swell up in this place. And, it's incredible for the Bears to be on the opposite side of that feeling, and to see a crowd here again. They started filing for the exits after that Cole Kmet touchdown pass with 6 minutes to go in the game. And you're like, man, the Bears just cleaned out another stadium, right? This is ridiculous. They didn't need to go down to the last second in this one. And it's a credit to them for finding that finishing touchdown.
The boos were loud and clear where I was in a jam-packed Marcus Theater. And the emotions of that crowd, it was like one of the most pleasurable viewing experiences I've had in a long time, because we're out there working. I'm doing the pregame show with Olin Kreutz and James Big Cat Williams, and everybody's in their recliners, and so we're looking at them doing the pregame show, but watching this game with everybody with their popcorn and their beers and their pops and just the emotions of the game. It was fun, and I mean, I think you kind of went through it earlier. It has gone up a level. If the 0-2 start was the 100 level courses, and then trying to get the run game going was the 200 level courses. Signature win. We are at the 300 level. Act accordingly. The ramp up is on. You're going to see it on the streets of Chicago. You're going to see extra media attention probably at Haugh when we're there, extra credentials. And I mean national folks making their way into Haugh. And this is beautiful. Like, Dan, you and I have been around. I know you haven't covered a lot of winning teams, but we've both been around long enough watching this Bears team, whether growing up watching them or as reporters, as we've been both doing for decades now. It's a something in this city when the Bears are winning, and they are, and everything changes here forth in a winning good way.
You called your viewing experience pleasurable, which means it pleased you, which people in our audience know exactly what that means. The other thing it means is the Bears got their 9th victory, which unlocks the C Word podcast.
Is it when you win that battle and get the football thrown to you?
What? Let's go from there.
How gratifying is it when you win that battle and get the football thrown to you?
It's never not funny.
That's some old DJ Moore that you can't help but love. The other part, I was just saying, the 9th victory unlocks the C Word for us. And this week, we will have a culture episode this coming week. And you and I will get our heads together offline here and put together the plan for that. But the C Word is unlocked, Grote. It's a beautiful thing. It's coming back to take the North. It's coming back to Chicago. The C Word is back on the table. That word, I will say it out of my mouth tonight with the 9th victory, is culture.
There it is. Stan Wiederer has allowed himself to use the word culture. There it is. The Bears have culture with 9 wins. How about we give out some game balls because Dan, I know you got to get the heck out of
If you
Philly.
look at me peering down the way, I'm making sure that the janitors don't sweep my backpack out and go.
You don't look like when we're at Soldier, we get the benefit of the doubt. We get to know the people there.
Yeah,
like,
I don't know who's going to take my stuff, and I'm going to be out on the streets of Philly looking for my goods.
Oh, Chicago guy, huh? Well, all right, let's do game balls. Dan, I'll let you go first.
Yeah, well, I'm going to give it to the guy who got his first career game ball today, and it's a guy who's been worthy of other game balls this year and has gotten probably at least one on this podcast, but it's Nahshon Wright. I just thought that play he made on the tush push was such a game-defining play. It felt like the Bears were letting this game out of their grasp. You watch that play happen, and you're like, why are they signaling that they have the football? And you're like, what happened there? And then you see the replay, and you see him come around the edge, realize that the defensive front has done their job of creating the wall, and then to just rip that ball out of Jalen Hurts' arms, dive to the bottom of a pile, and come out of there with it. Another impressive play from a guy who's made a whole series of impressive plays. It comes after he allows a huge touchdown to A.J. Brown in coverage. And you say, man, this dude just keeps getting back up, keeps making big plays. Nahshon Wright got his first career game ball. He was very pleased with that in the locker room. Now he gets to take the North game ball as well.
I am going to go with DeAndre Swift. 18 carries, 125 yards, and a touchdown. He was just running like a crazy man in this game. I mean, just so good. The explosives, the tough yards. And last week he had a bad game. It just wasn't really very, like 8 carries for like 20 yards, maybe not even that. This guy, Dan, I also feel like has been playing injured a lot this year. He's been up and down with that. And he just like going back, he might have felt a little bit extra motivated going back to a team for which he played. But my game ball today goes to DeAndre Swift. He has really got something going this year for the Bears. Studs.
And oh yeah, guys, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and go with the other running back who had 100 yards today, Kyle Monunga.
Yes.
Carries for 130 yards and a touchdown. So very fitting. I think that 2 of the game balls go to runners that had 100. And honorary game ball to the offensive line.
Man.
Yeah. I know that it's just real quick. Grote, I know that on the score post game, Owen Kreutz said that the Bears might have the best offensive line in football.
Can you believe that?
The Bears might have the best offensive line in football. And
he said that. He said it very seriously. He said the Bears have the best offensive line in football. I was like, wait a minute. Who are you talking about? The Bears?
Yeah.
Not wrong.
Yeah. And Olin always gassing up the Bears, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Honorary ball to the offensive line, who are like legitimately, seriously incredible job. So yeah.
That's a
awesome.
really good Philly front, right? Like it's a really good Philly front. They're not playing their best football right now, but it's still a really good front. And to do what they did today, it's amazing. We just got through like a 25-minute signature win podcast without talking about the performance of the quarterback, Caleb Williams, which was a little bit uneven, but it didn't matter because so much around him was so good. And so we can have the conversation about the quarterback as we get into week 14, but it's amazing that the Bears have fortified themselves so solidly around the most important position in sports to where his development can come along at a pace that's appropriate with them still playing first place winning football. It really unlocks the doors to a world of potential that we would have never imagined unlocking within this calendar year. And here we are 365 days after Black Friday last year. The Bears are 9-3 and looking like the surprise team of the NFL.
And Caleb did have that unbelievable 28-yard touchdown pass to Cole Kmet to make it 24-9 at the time. So there was that. But yeah, Dan's right. We'll talk all about. I mean, it was hilarious that we took 12 minutes to talk about the fact that Jalen Johnson and Kyler Gordon were back. But there's so much going on. And oh, look at that! Mom's calling right now. What a great that. Seriously, that's my.
She's probably going to tell you Dan was wrong, and then your mom's piling on now too.
That's hilarious. All right, I got to go call my mom. So you got to go. I got to go. For Dan Wiederer of The Athletic, for our executive producer, Adam Stadzinski, I am Mark Grote saying thank you so much for watching and listening to the Take the North podcast.
Bye, Mrs. Grote. Bye, Mom. Great talk. See you out there.